5 Thai fishing vessels apprehended in PNG waters. 2 more fires, a home destroyed and a teenager dead. And the release of a working document on early childhood learning in PNG.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening, you're with Tuesday's news. Thanks for your company. 5 illegal fishing vessels from Thailand were apprehended in the Western Province. The vessels are currently under investigation at the Papua New Guinea Defence Force Naval Base in Port Moresby. Various contrabands and a firearm were found on board of the vessels as well.
Soldiers on board the PNGDF naval ship Siedla apprehended the 5 vessels between October 17th and 19th along the waters of Papua New Guinea and Australia. This morning the vessels were escorted in from Daru and are currently anchored at the PNGDF naval base. On board the vessels are fishermen from Thailand who have been illegally fishing in PNG's extended exclusive economic zone west of Daru, Western Province. The vessels have been closely monitored. Initial instructions received to apprehend the vessels. Priority was on the mothership PNG 249. It has been evading customs and loitering out at sea without undergoing any clearance to enter PNG waters. The vessels were found to have no vessel monitoring system or VMS installed, making it difficult for National Fisheries Authority to regulate their fishing activities in PNG waters. Customs Commissioner Ray Paul was present this morning with his officers to inspect the ship. However, NFA is alleged to have contradicted itself by directly communicating with the vessel owner and the captain of the ship for its release. The vessels will be handed over to Customs and NFA for further investigations before any charges can be laid. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
Ijivitari MP David Arora has been declared the new governor of Northern Province. The vote of no confidence in sitting governor Gary Jufa took place in Popondetta today. A faction of LLG council presidents led by Mr. Arora said they were tired of Governor Jufa's style of leadership and voted him out. However, Governor Jufa maintained that he is still the governor of Northern Province. He said the vote of no confidence was illegal and he will contest it in court. Meanwhile, Deputy Opposition Leader Sam Basil has denounced the vote of no confidence against Oro Governor Gary Jufa. Speaking in the context that it shouldn't happen in Morobe, he has described the move by Ijivitari MP David Arora and Sohe MP Delilah Gore to lead members of the Provincial Assembly as unconstitutional. Basil explains that no member of Parliament has the legal right to oust a governor mandated by the people of the province.
You want a member of law district of Papua New Guinea. You got heavy one time governor of you, governor and all man mark him. People of the province mark him. You got every one time governor, you have to wait until the next election. We cannot change our governor in the middle of the term. And this
A teenage boy with a disability has died in a fire that destroyed a family home in the early hours of this morning in Leh City. The fire in the Chinatown residence was one of 2 that happened this morning and a third in a space of 1 week. The other early morning fire destroyed a restaurant at Top Town. The 2 fire incidents come 7 days after a fire in Mount Hagen destroyed 8 shops.
The cause of this fire has not yet been established. It will be the subject of an investigation, hopefully in the coming days. For now, the family of the boy are still coming to terms with the loss. What is alarming is the high number of fire incidents in less than 24 months. There have been 13 fire incidents in Leh City since last year. All of them have caused millions of kina worth of destruction.
As the Chinatown fire raged, the 2T trading at Leh's 8th Street was also on fire. Again, no firm word on the cause of the fire. Eyewitnesses say the fire started at around 3 a.m. and continued for about 30 minutes before firefighters arrived at the scene.
We're going to show him electrical fault or when I'm going to show, but fire started inside.
By 6 a.m. this morning, the building was completely burnt. Firefighters, however, kept the fire contained.
Report all give me motor was one block building 2 and Ben lo same time lo 7th Street. So fire service respond am lo stop na time block all have same time call him also all come in lo after 30 to 45 minutes. But building them inside them flame and rice finish na fire all over the place so building and burned down.
On Friday night, a building belonging to Kambang Holdings was also destroyed in another fire.
The full time mi blogo taman lo woko point mi blogo skipper stop because it is seven full time go power.
If you count the number of fires Ley City has had since 2013, there have been 13 reported incidents. It is an alarming number for a fast-growing industrial city. The G4S and New Guinea Wholesale Drug Buildings, Brian Bell Home Center, Pelgens, Daytech and Kalapek are just some of the many businesses that have lost millions of kina worth of property. Just 7 days ago in Mount Hagen, 8 shops were destroyed. The city center was scared both by the final loss and the impact this destruction will have on the Western Highlands and other neighboring provinces.
In terms of the logistics that we have, the equipment and all that, as the town is growing, we are not growing.
Much of the blame has been leveled against the Papua New Guinea Fire Service, but it is an arm of government that is also struggling with serious funding problems.
So the government has to look into this one, and if they can put up this infrastructure, they have to look into fire service. We've got the men, trained men, but it's the equipment.
The Department of Provincial and Local Government Affairs is responsible for the funding for fire stations around the country. The Deputy Prime Minister, Sir Leo Dion, is the minister responsible. Sylvester Gawi, National EMTV News, Ley.
And in light of the Hagen and Ley fires, Kundiawa MP Tobias Kulang has called on the national government to build a fire station for the capital of the Simbu province. Kulang says Kundiawa faces a huge risk as there is no way of putting out a large fire if it happens because the town does not have a fire station. With Kundiawa's growth, Kulang says Kundiawa faces the bleak possibility of a major fire destroying the entire town. People as far away as Nadab and Poti outside of Ley City can now receive the EMTV signal after an improvement in transmission signals. An EMTV engineering crew has just completed installing new transmission equipment at a 9-mile site, nearly a week of intensive work. Signal access was tested yesterday and this morning and found to be in excellent working order. This latest improvement also gives viewers in the Miles area in Ley City access to EMTV. Morambe province has perhaps the largest alluvial mining communities in Papua New Guinea. While mining is well documented, not many know that in Wau and Bulolo, it is as important as cocoa farming is to the New Guinea Islands and as coffee is to the Highlands. MTV's Scott White spoke to some of the miners who have been working the creeks for 4 generations.
Even before there was Octedi and Bougainville, Wau was the mining capital of what used to be New Guinea. The history of this place is well documented in the journals of miners and colonial administrators. Gone are the foreigners who came here long ago. What they left is a lasting legacy of skills and knowledge they passed on to those who used to be their laborers in the 1900s. We've come to one of the bridges before going into Wau town, and this is where miners and their families work all day for their incomes. Jonathan Walter is a third-generation miner. His family have been working the rivers and creeks for as long as he can remember. He learned the skills from his father, and his father learned it from his father before him.
People come, papa, mama, or now me black can or picking me blood again, a tumuna blood again, and me black goal and me stop. I'm black with this and a water boil now. I will have more goal. What I concern now, pumping up more goal, I can't have now. Maybe pushing go. People pushing go, come strong black, and maybe must go down can.
Over time, new methods have been introduced, and one of the newer methods is the use of carpets to trap gold dust. It's less work for the miner and it's more efficient.
Sometimes I was one map and golem sleep good. Golem sleep good. and by kissing good goal or by making gram law one per day.
Over the last 5 years, they've been hit hard by fluctuating gold prices. And it's something many don't really understand. On good days, they can make up to 1,000 kina a week. On other days, they make an average of 300 kina a week. In total, it's still higher than the minimum wage in Papua New Guinea. This is where whole communities are self-employed. While they have their own problems, the incomes they make depends on how much they work and where they work. Scott Waide, National MTV News, Leh.
And among more stories, a working document in place for early childhood learning. Also, ABG President John Mommis critical of Australian report, and rural communities seeks funding to rehabilitate school. Those stories coming up after the break. Good to have you back with the news. Papua New Guinea's early childhood learning now has a working standards document to measure a child's development from kindergarten to grade 2. The standard was produced in collaboration with Volunteer Services Overseas, World Vision, UNICEF, Buk Bilang Pikanini and Save the Children to assist teachers to use the standards effectively. It was launched recently at the University of Goroka in Eastern Highlands.
Papua New Guinea has a growing population with majority being children. And with much controversy over PNG's education system in recent months, early childhood education is a priority for a child's education engagement. The standards work as a syllabus containing 6 learning areas for child's learning, designed by Papua New Guineans for Papua New Guineans. The documents target a child's development ages 3 to 8. During the launching, University of Goroka Acting Vice Chancellor Associate Professor Michael Mell described this standard as the cradle education which leads into the future. He says there is much work that needs to be done, but at least the foundations have been laid for early childhood education. The documents support teachers to deliver the type of education offered in larger privately run schools as of those under the IEA. This allows the larger population in the country to access quality education as well. While there is an interest to move early childhood education from the Welfare Department to the National Education Department, the gap in standards has now been bridged through this document. It is hoped the Department of Education ensures this standard is nested throughout the country, giving the best education for all our children. Jack LaPava Jr., National MTV News.
Autonomous Bougainville Government President John Mommis has criticised Australian NGO Jubilee on its report on Panguna landowners. President Mommis described the report as biased, defective and divisive. He said the report was deeply flawed and interviews with the 65 individuals and one focus group around Panguna mine differs from the views of people in the affected area. President Mommis said those who support the reopening of Panguna are deeply critical of past mining and oppose future mining without fundamental change. He has written to Jubilee's chairman, Luke Fletcher, to withdraw the report. However, Fletcher said the withdrawal would be assessed on merits. The report was launched by Australian Greens Party senators in Canberra last month. Sophia Totono Foundation, an NGO group based in Leh and Kainantu, has set up an initiative to award the best performing students at Wawi National High School. Wawi National High School is one of the 5 national high schools in Papua New Guinea. The school is located in Morobe province, however caters for students from Kainantu as well as other provinces.
Wawi National High School, or the School of Excellence, recently held its graduation day. As the name suggests, the speeches centered on excellence in student performances at national high and secondary schools. Given the fact that in recent times universities and colleges have been struggling to educate or offer a high standard of education to students and graduates with skills to join the workforce or to do further studies. Studies have shown that about 28,000 out of an estimated 800,000 college-aged population are enrolled in the country's 32 declared technical and higher educational institutions. This means that while the government tries to provide more spaces at universities and colleges, students must work hard to make it through to the existing tertiary institutions. With this in mind, Sophia Totona Foundation set up an initiative to award the best academic student. And for this year, the Dux of the Year was given to grade 12 student Nangore Samuel. At the request of the school's governing council, Sophia Totona Foundation was approached to award the best performing student. The founder and executive director of Sophia Totona Foundation, Beldan Tima, said it was one way of encouraging students to excel in their studies and also to give back at the community. The initiative is an annual event that will continue into the future. Bridget Komatep, National EMTV News.
A remote primary school in the Simbu province is calling on authorities to step in and help them with their rundown school facilities. Over 400 students from Gembok Primary School are using facilities that have been left to deteriorate over many years. Martin Kawage, a concerned local, told EMTV News that authorities need to step in to assist the school so their students can get quality basic education.
The school, built in the 1960s, has never received enough funding to restore the state of their classrooms, desk, library, a science lab, and even teachers' houses. Mr. Kawage said he is in Port Moresby to submit project proposals to leaders and to create more awareness of the school, which currently serves more than 400 school children from elementary to grade 8.
We are also trying to build a library in that school, and also a computer lab and a science lab, practical skills, and also we'd like to get new facilities like new tables, desks, and I think and also we'd like to get at least 3 new houses for the teachers.
Mr. Kawage said the school is also looking at securing materials and better resources to help students who have special needs and provide quality, inclusive education as well.
This project, we are also trying to promote inclusive education in the school. We are trying to provide opportunity for people with special needs, especially the children with special needs. They can also access the services. That's our main emphasis if we are going to secure funding for these schools.
The district of Gembok has a population of over 20,000 plus people, and the number of children to have access to quality basic education has increased, putting a strain on the education sector in the district as well.
Experience, I think, from the previous government, nothing has been reaching the school, nothing has been reaching the people there. With the current member in place, I think he has a very good plan to develop those institutions, government services. But the member has a handful to attend to all the needs. So we must share the responsibility, try to help the member to develop the community, develop the place.
Benny Getang, National EMTV News.
Apart from the Lays Tidal Basin project, PNG Ports has invested in another multi-million kina wharf facility in the Morobe province. The berth length of the overseas wharf facility was extended by an extra 100 meters from its previous 655 meters. It has the capacity to cater to 68 overseas vessels that come into Lae every month. Due to the growth in Lae, the wharf facility is expected to become one of the major trade links for PNG with overseas countries. The Prime Minister, Peter O'Neill, and State Investment and Public Enterprise Minister, Ben Maika, will officiate at the opening of this wharf facility in Lae tomorrow. And now we take a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3965 in the interbank market, and at Bank South Pacific, the kina was buying $0.389 $0.4372 Australian dollars, 0.2982 euro and 41.47 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee, cocoa and copper all closed the day lower, palm oil closed the day unchanged, and crude oil and copper closed lower. Palm oil closed higher, crude oil and copper closed lower. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 12 points higher, the ASX closed at 11 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 25 points lower. You're watching National EMTV News tonight. Among stories making headlines overseas, residents of a small town in Hawaii flee as red-hot lava flows towards them. I'll give you the details after the break. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now, authorities in Hawaii say nothing can be done to stop a red-hot river of lava flowing towards thousands of homes. Residents of a small town have packed up and left home as the slow-moving danger continues in its approach.
They have watched, they have waited, and tonight they are worried. For the first time, people living in the path of this river of fire are leaving. Dozens more may soon be next.
It's really scary. You got to be on alert. You got to be ready when they say, okay, you got 2 hours. You got to be out of here.
The lava now less than 100 yards from homes. From above, you can see it sizzle through everything in its path. The people here are already watching their history being erased. Dozens of headstones at the town cemetery now smothered under layers of molten rock, churning at 2,000 degrees. Officials say there is no way to divert a lava flow. The town must simply watch it follow the steepest part of the terrain right into the heart of neighborhoods. We saw it on a recent visit.
This is the lava flow that's currently threatening the town of Pahoa. As you can see, it's now burning all of these trees and shrubs here. Really, nothing can stop this.
If lava reaches the main road, thousands of people farther south will be cut off. New roads are quickly being built, a lava detour. And to try to keep the electricity on, they're installing new shields around power poles.
I'm going to need to go, I think, but I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I do not want to go.
Tonight, they are holding their breath in a paradise that may soon be lost.
A nurse quarantined in the U.S. after working with Ebola patients has been released and is now taking legal action over her treatment. It comes amidst promising news about a 5-year-old boy feared to have contracted the deadly disease.
There is relief at Bellevue Hospital in Manhattan, where preliminary tests suggest a 5-year-old boy being monitored for Ebola does not, in fact, have the virus. He'll be kept in isolation, though, until all tests have been completed. Meanwhile, staff at the same hospital continue caring for Dr. Craig Spencer, who tested positive after working with patients in West Africa. It was the first diagnosed case in America's largest city.
New York and New Jersey states aren't taking any chances. All returning healthcare workers who've been in direct contact with Ebola patients are being quarantined, at home if possible, and monitored for 21 days.
The moves angered volunteers like nurse Casey Hickox, who's taking legal action after being released from involuntary isolation when she returned from Sierra Leone, despite testing negative for the virus. It's also drawn sharp, rare criticism from the UN and the White House, worried the policy's not guided by science and will stop workers going to help.
This is what happened when states go off on their own and when politicians take over instead of listening to the scientific consensus.
But ever since 2 nurses contracted the deadly disease while caring for Thomas Duncan, a visitor from Liberia who later died, the public has been concerned. Leaders in 2 of America's most populous states won't apologize for being cautious, even though they've chosen to go further than newly tightened guidelines from the Centers for Disease Control. Rows over quarantine now seem of little consequence in West Africa, where the epidemic rages and the death toll climbs. There, many victims are turned away from hospitals that have run out of space to treat them.
It's been revealed that South African soccer captain Senzo Meyiwa was shot dead by intruders while trying to protect his girlfriend. The star player was at his Johannesburg home where the fatal attack happened.
Posted on the internet by his girlfriend just last week. This is Senzo Miiwa as his fans loved him. Captain and goalkeeper for his club and country, this was a young man in his prime. But now South Africa is in mourning. Police say he was shot last night during what appears to be an attempted burglary. He was at his girlfriend's home south of Johannesburg when two men entered the property. One waited outside, and after Senzo was shot, all three fled. In an unusual move, South African police took to Twitter to break the news. "We have to break normal protocol," they wrote. "We can confirm that Bucks keeper Senzo Miiwa has been shot." South Africa has a high rate of violent crime, but it's not clear why Senzo was shot. Tributes are being paid to Miiwa from fellow footballers. Doncaster and Bafana Bafana midfielder Dean Furman said, "Beyond devastated at the loss of our captain and friend. Thoughts and prayers are with his family and friends at this terrible time." Amongst the other thousands of tributes online, one from a fan simply said, "Forever my captain, R.I.P. Senzo."
The health benefits of regular exercise are well documented, but a team of neuroscientists in Adelaide has discovered another reason to work up a sweat, and it doesn't take much effort to reap the rewards.
The first time researchers have found a correlation between short bursts of exercise and brain function. Over the course of a year, 12 people's brain function was monitored immediately after riding an exercise bike for 30 minutes. Researchers from the University of Adelaide found the ability to strengthen nerve connections within the brain was increased immediately after the 30-minute session, which means improved memory and the ability to learn.
This study showed that just a short period of exercise, 30 minutes, would have benefits to the way the brain functions and should positively influence things like learning, memory and other general cognitive abilities.
Past research has shown regular physical activity can have positive effects on brain function, but until now, it wasn't known if a standalone exercise session would have similar positive effects. This study also suggests short bursts of exercise could be used as part of the therapy for people who've suffered brain damage. While the benefits were found to be short-term, researchers will be looking into the minimal amount of exercise required for improved long-term brain functionality.
And that's a take on our news segment tonight. True Kai Sports is coming up next, darts and volleyball. I'll bring you the details after these short messages.
True Kai Sports.
BSP PNG Games 2014. 18 days to go. Support your province.
Well, it's all done and dusted now as the Cora Saints claim the 2014 Calca Darts title after overpowering Spartans in the grand final face-off over the weekend. The PNG Power Spartans edged out Whitecliffe in the semis earlier on, but failed to cement the title in the final.
The Calca Darts Association was at their best in the grand final showdown. The two finalists, Cora Saints and Spartans in Blue, brought together the Kila Kila community in Mosby South electorate to an entertaining yet skillful playoff that certainly will be on record in the history of the association. Cora Saints' Joe Temu checked out in the team game. Miria Willigata added to their lead in the trebles. The PNG power-powered Spartans made a comeback in the first and second doubles, with Jimmy Tabua, who certainly knows how to perfect his missiles, checking out both doubles. Spartans surged ahead in the singles with 3 wins to claim the lead at 4-3. Philip Isara set an equalizer for Cora Saints, while Miria Willigata took the decider and brought Cora Saints home winners at 5-4. Player of the season went to Philip Isara of Cora Saints as they won the Minor Premier Award and the 2014 Calca Darts Association Premiership title. Tere Alex, National EMTV Sports.
Vava Volleyball Association is in preparation for their national championship in Leh. The competition will be taking 2 days with semis and grand finals. This competition is also played for each province to select its athletes for the 6th BSP PNG Games and next year's Pacific Games. EMTV's Rafaela Kaore reports.
The Vabukari Amateur Volleyball Association will be sending 5 teams to the National Volleyball Championships in Leh starting this Friday. Today we caught up with the Open Men's team, comprising current national men's team, the Amoas. The team has been training under the guidance of the high-performance coach, Bodi Meapo.
Forward, looking straight.
They will be vying for the 11th consecutive title, while in the under-21 men's will be in full force to retain their title. Coach Tom Lui, who has been witnessing the undefeated moment since 2004, still remains confident of his charges.
The 11th title is going to be hard because we have a lot of teams who are trying to beat us to claim the title after a long drought. So we're expecting a hard games from very tough games from NCD and Fairfax, and especially Huon from Leh. They've done well last year by playing us in the grand final Huon. So it'll be a bit tough for the boys, but we will stand our ground. We will try and be the #1 team.
Vice Captain Gia Kappa said he's looking forward to the championship and is hoping for strong rivalries.
Nipla got Nipla players Nipla like under-21 boys. Last year all winning Nipla Salim all gone up na. Nipla inexperienced plus experience plus Nipla Salim Nipla experience karikame because.
The Vava team's contingent of 65 players and officials will be converging to Leh this Thursday, a day before the championships. More than 6 volleyball associations from Port Moresby will be participating. Host UN will have 7 teams taking part. Kainantu and Medan will also be participating. Rafaela Kaore, National EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Manly's Anthony Watmow is out and Willie Mason in. And also Sam Burgess leaves the Rabbitohs and the latest on the 4 Nations. Stay with me for the details.
Trukai Sports.
Good to have you back with Trukai Sports. Overseas now, he was the grand final hero, and today Sam Burgess said goodbye to the city in which he became a cult figure. South's fans will be very sorry to see him go. He flew out this afternoon, but there was a little bit of a drama before he left.
He arrived 5 years ago, full of promise. He left today, a red and green hero.
I feel all right, you know, obviously sad leaving my family, you know, a lot of good friends, but I actually feel pretty good, pretty excited.
Broken cheekbone and all, he drove the Rabbitohs to their first premiership in 43 years. Sam Burgess can't thank the fans enough for a magic ride.
You got a final word for the South Sydney fans?
Oh, I just want to say thanks, I guess, for you know, a wonderful year. Not only this year, but you know, all 5 years I've been here has been pretty amazing, I guess.
Burgess boarded QF1 to London late this afternoon for a new life in rugby and a starring role at next year's World Cup, but not without a late hiccup. Running out of petrol and being stranded on the side of the road with girlfriend Phoebe Hook on the way to the airport.
It's actually my car, but Phoebe had been driving it and she forgot to put some fuel in, mate. It's been a big couple of days.
Phoebe will join him in a few weeks. His mum, Julie, and brothers George, Tom and Luke are staying in Australia. Club legend Anthony Watmow has been unhappy at Manly. Today the club agreed it was time for a new era. After 286 games and 2 premierships, he was released.
Once you have a player like that that's given great service to the club, we thought it was in the best interest of, as Scott said, of everyone to grant that release.
Watmow let it known he wanted out mid-year. Steve Maddai and Brett Stewart also wanted out, but Tuvey says they'll now stay.
There's no issue there, and I think Brett's on contract for 2 more years. So
Manly's 2014 premiership campaign was ruined in the back end by infighting and injury. Something had to give, and Watmow is gone. Player unrest is now a topic Tuvi desperately wants to leave in the past.
Oh, I'm not talking about last year. Last year was last year.
The club's majority owner Scott Penn also announced Willie Mason and Feliti Mateo will join the club, as will South Sydney CFO Joe Kelly, who replaces Dave Perry as CEO. Watmo will sign with Parramatta, most likely tomorrow.
This Sunday, Sione Matautia will become the youngest kangaroo in history. He has been named to take on England in a must-win Four Nations in Melbourne.
The league-loving kids of Melbourne met the Australian team today. They requested that the head kangaroo, Cam Smith, do some extra fitness. The rookie Roos have reached a new level after just 7 NRL games. Sione Matautia has been picked to play the Poms. He'll be 18 years and 130 days old, breaking Israel Folau's mark by 64 days.
He's poised to make history, youngest ever kangaroo.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Well, that's a fair honour for him, especially considering he probably hasn't played as many first grade games as most other blokes in the squad. So, yeah, I think he deserves it. He's come on and shone in the games that he's played, the small amount of games he's played in.
The Aussies were outmuscled in every area against the Kiwis. Tim Sheens is attracted to Matautia's power game.
He's quite thick. Usually, you don't really fill out through your shoulders and chest until you're a little bit older, and he's got a good frame, and he runs the ball quite hard, so he'll be a force coming back.
With Daly Cherry Evans carrying injury, Ben Hunt is the backup plan. A remarkable rise for a player who was riddled with self-doubt until this season.
So at the start of this year, I really wasn't too sure if I could even hold down a position in the Broncos team, and lucky I worked hard, and things sort of panned out.
Gone from the side, but not forgotten, Paul Gallen. The players want him back at the elite level, even if the game's bosses are making him jump through hoops.
Would you like to see him firstly back in the green and gold and secondly back as New South Wales captain?
Oh, definitely. He's the captain of New South Wales and vice captain of Australia. I think, he knows he made a mistake.
Mate, 50 would hurt him, 50 large.
Yeah, 50 will hurt the big fella. Like I said, he's got plenty of cash, but he's quite tight with his money, old Gowser. So I think there'll be a few candlelit dinners at his house, so he doesn't have to pay electricity bills.
Well, that's it in sports tonight. The weather details after the break.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
This weather information is proudly brought to you by Tablebirds.
The weather forecast for the next 24 hours in southern region, all centres mostly fine. In Momase, a change of a shower or two in Lae and cloudy weather in Madang and Wewak, fine in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands, all centres to expect showers. And lastly, in the Highlands region, all centres showers or two, then morning fog. Recapping our top stories again before we go. 5 illegal fishing vessels apprehended by Navy ship Seadler on routine patrol in the Western Province. Also, 2 more fires in Lae, a teenager is dead, and a restaurant and home destroyed. And Vava men's volleyball team looking to claim their 11th title in the national competition. Well, that's been National EMTV News this Tuesday. I'm Tokana Hasavi. Thanks for your company. You take care and stay safe. Good night.